Okay, so as Marshall said, I'm Rosanne Johnson. I work in the clinical research office with coverage analysis and budgets for clinical research. So today we're going to go over some common OnCore mistakes that we have been coming across, and hopefully it'll help people when entering their information into the OnCore system. So next slide. So this first slide is just a study flow chart, basically, of what happens when we first get the information for your study. So when you enter your information into CSR, the Central Study Registration, OnCore, the OnCore team gets this information and they build your calendar from your schedule of events from your protocol. That calendar then is what drives your coverage analysis, and it also drives how you input your information into OnCore, as well as creating your coverage analysis and creating your budget from that. And it also helps with invoicing to the sponsor. All this information gets entered into OnCore and goes through an approval process where it's reviewed by the study team, it's reviewed by the OnCore team, it's reviewed by myself, and then it'll get uploaded into the system after everybody agrees that that's how it should be. Okay, next slide. So basically, the importance of your calendar review. So when your calendar is sent to you, it'll come from the OnCore team. Not only are you reviewing the calendar for accuracy for your study, but you're also reviewing this for the coverage analysis. A lot of times what happens is we don't get a response back from the calendar stating that the calendar is good to go by your side of it, and we don't get a response back on the coverage analysis. So these two pieces of information are very important. We need these items to set up your coverage analysis in the OnCore system, and we also need it to do a budget accurately if we're negotiating your budget for you. When you get your calendar, you want to look at the items that are on your calendar that are needed, that for example, if you have more than one arm, make sure you have the arms that you need for that calendar. Also, make sure within the calendar, if things are as needed, that those are indicated appropriately within the visits for yourself. Big example would be like pregnancy tests. Make sure you're aware within the calendar what items are invoiceable to the sponsor. That way you'll have a better understanding of when you enter your information into OnCore, how that is getting triggered over to be invoiced to the sponsor. And this is the time when you should be reaching out to us and asking these questions, so we can make sure that you understand and what's the easiest way for you to input this information into the system. The other thing is a common error that occurs that takes extra time and effort for the invoicing side of things is we have to go back and correct an invoice or to verify an invoice that things don't get entered correctly within the visit. For example, are like the as needed items. So say there's extra lab tests that might have to be done and they have to get invoiced separately to the sponsor, or the pregnancy test. Sometimes there's extra stipends. If you just mark that visit occurred and those items are within that visit, they come over to us to invoice the sponsor. And if those are not items that need to be invoiced to the sponsor, we don't always have the time to call and double check with you to see, are these really something that should be invoiced or not? We cannot see the sex of the patient on our side of it. So if it's a pregnancy test and it's for a male and you marked it that occurred and it really didn't, sometimes those get invoiced to the sponsor and they're like, how did this person need a pregnancy test? So that's just like one of the common things that happens. Next slide. So the big thing about your budget and invoiceable items is there's certain things that need to be entered that are called protocol-driven items. These are things that are invoiceable to the sponsor that occur outside of a visit. And there's multiple ways that these can be set up in the OnCore system. Just make sure that you're aware of what these items are within your study, what needs to be recorded by you or entered by you, and how the other items are set up or triggered in the system. You know, we have multiple ways to set up protocol items and with different types of triggers that can be implemented on the protocol items. For example, startup is set up to be automatically billed once the contract is signed, or if the sponsor requires the SIV to happen, it'll be set up like that. All your setup fees like pharmacy fees, affiliate fees, the CTMS fees, those are all set up by date triggers. It's not anything that you have to enter by the study team, but like other items like monitoring or audits or training fees, change in monitors, unscheduled visits, stuff like that has to be entered on your side of the system in the CRA console in the financial events. We have no way of knowing if those items happen. IRB submissions, if you are not using the local IRB, if you're using a central IRB, you have to enter those in separately to let us know that you did a continuing review or you did an amendment. And if those are billable to the sponsor, those will get invoiced to the sponsor. We can set up the IRB submission fees if it's local, and they're triggered when they're updated through the IRB. You would not have to enter those. So that's like just questions that you should ask like in the beginning when everything's getting set up. Next slide. So basically, this is the screen that you would go to enter the items that I was just discussing. This is your CRA console. You click on the financial events, which is on the side here, like the fifth one down. You would click this update button, and then a drop-down box would come down, and usually this is study specific. So anything that's on that list is stuff that can be invoiced to the sponsor. Every now and then we might miss an item or two. I always make sure that, or we always make sure that there's miscellaneous on there. So if for some reason you don't see something on there, you can use a miscellaneous box, or you can reach out to us and just say, hey, you know, I think this is invoiceable. I don't see this on there. And there may be a reason why it's not on there. It might be set up differently, or maybe it's just something that we missed and we can add it in for you. Not a problem. You can just let us know that. Next slide. So a big mistake that happens is additional visits. So this is entered in on the CRA console. You pick, you're under your subject, you picked additional visits. And then a lot of times what people do is they put a comment in there and tell us like what happened and then save it and move on. If that's all you do, we are not seeing that on the financial side, and it is not getting invoiced to the sponsor. You have to pick a procedure from your study or from the charge master and add it as a procedure, and then it comes over to us and it's a visit variation and it is invoiceable to the sponsor. We see that on a report. Otherwise, if you put these in just with a comment, we do not see them at all. Next slide. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Basically, what I'm saying is, here is your additional visit. You put the date, you can put whatever description you want there, you can put comments that you want there, but if you stop there, we won't see that. You actually have to go down and click additional procedures. Drop down screen will pick up, come up, you can pick your procedure from any of those items, and usually it's all off of the protocol in your study. But you also, if you don't see it on there, you can also go to the main charge master, pick it from the main charge master, or I believe there is an option to type one in. Then you would need to submit and close, and then this will show up on our other side. Also on the next slide, this shows you the drop down. So you can see here, there's 3 different tabs that you can pick. Obviously, the main one is from your protocol, and you can pick any item that you need to add in. If you have a problem doing this, obviously reach out to OnCore or myself, and we can make sure that you understand how to, you can add a free text procedure in as well if needed. I think that's all that I had on that, but this is a big one, a big mistake that happens. Okay, next slide. So when you're entering the subject visits, you want to be aware of the best way to enter the visits for each milestone that happens. So if the sponsor is paying for the visit entirely as occurred, basically, you know, all this stuff is supposed to happen on this visit, you're going to get paid X amount of dollars, whether all of it is done or not. You can just mark that this visit has occurred and put the date in there. Please be aware of anything that is an as needed item. Please make sure that you are marking correctly that they did or did not occur, because if it's as needed, it means that it's going to get invoiced to the sponsor most likely. And if you mark it occurred and it didn't occur, it comes over to us to be invoiced. Basically, the big one is pregnancy tests. Also, if your sponsor doesn't pay your visits like that, if they pay at a prorated way, meaning they pay for the items that you actually complete, you would need to mark every item on there as occurred, meaning put the date in there, you know, or make sure that you mark the items that did not occur, one or the other way. That way we can financially reconcile the visit and the payments when they come in. So we're getting a payment from the sponsor and it's not for a total amount of the milestone. We need to be able to look at the subject visit. And when we go into the subject visit, we should be able to see what did or did not happen. So if you're just marking that whole visit as occurred, we have no way to financially reconcile that. If you go to the next slide, this is what I mean. So this would be an example of how they are going to pay by procedure. The pregnancy test didn't happen, so it's marked NA on here, and everything else did happen, and they put the date on every single item in here that did happen. So we should get paid for everything on this study visit except for the pregnancy test. Okay, next slide. So budgets, the biggest thing about your budget is that you should really make sure you go through your budget, make sure you look at what's invoiceable to the sponsor, be aware of what items within the visit are invoiceable to the sponsor, and make sure you understand how those end up coming over to the financial side of OnCore and when you enter them into the study subjects visit. Just make sure that if you're not 100% sure how this has occurred, you know, reach out to us, make sure you can work with us, and we'll try to make it the easiest way possible to get the information into the system and hopefully keep your additional data entry to a minimum. For example, say the sponsor is going to pay a stipend, but they want you to invoice for the stipend. And it's going to happen on every visit. We can add a line item to every visit that is the subject stipend. And once you mark that it occurred, it'll come over and we invoice the sponsor for every subject stipend that is needed. So it's just basically you marking it that it occurred on that visit. You wouldn't have to enter an extra item to do that. So we want to make it as easy as possible. So make sure you're aware of all these type of things on your budget and within your visit. Next slide. And the last thing I think I have to talk about is study closeout. So a lot of times study closeout, you're aware of it before we are, that you've had your closeout visit. The best thing to do is, to make sure that it is updated into Click. Now, the reason why I say this is 90% of the time, all your study closeout items are tied to Click, and the Click IRB being notified of IRB closure. So whether or not you're using local or central, you still need to notify Click that your study is an IRB closure, or you need to let the OnCore team know that that's happening, and they can do what they need to do on the OnCore side of things. We have to make sure the study is put in IRB closure. Then all of the study closeout items, once it's triggered in IRB closure, automatically pop up to be invoiced to the sponsor. So then we're aware that the study is an IRB closure, and we then would probably be reaching out to you if you haven't already. You have everything in your system. Did you enter everything that needs to be invoiced before we send that final study closeout invoice to them? And I think that's it.
Okay, I'll continue with the next slide. So I'm going to talk about summary accrual entry first. Something that we see often when coordinators first start to enter data for summary accrual studies is that under accrual, they would enter the subject number relevant to the sponsor or the subject sequence number, and this would increase the total accrual in OnCore. So what you should enter in accrual would be 1 for 1 per subject. So because this is how the accrual is calculated based on what is entered in that area. And the final goal that we have is that whatever is entered in OnCore should match what is entered in Click for your continuing review. Next slide, please. So to enter accrual for summary accrual study, you go to protocols, PC console, then select protocol, and you're gonna click on the accrual tab. Then from date and true date, you wanna use the date of consent. You don't need to use 2 separate dates. For accrual, you're going to enter 1, then you're going to enter everything else except diagnosis and recruited by. This is something that we do not require. And it's very easy to enter this data, so it will only take you a few seconds per subject. Next slide. Something else that we see often missing for the full studies is the referral form. Once you enter your subject first visit, this is when the referral form tab is going to show up. And then you need to go to do forms, and a field would pop up, and you choose how the subject was referred. And next slide. The important part here is that you need to click on complete and not on save, because if you click on save, that would only partially save your form. So that's one thing that you need to remember. If for some reason you do not complete those forms, we run reports regularly, and we're going to contact you to make sure that you complete them for us. Next slide. So I want to talk about the footnotes. So every calendar is prepared with footnotes where you can see what you need to enter and where you need to put your next date for the calendar to open up. I receive questions a lot like, oh, why is my calendar not getting opened? I cannot enter any of the dates as occurred. Well, this is why, because you have to follow everything on the left, enter your consent sign, then on study, then if there are arms, enter the arm dates, and at the end you need to mark your subject as off study. So this is important that you need to look at your footnotes. Next slide, please. So I want to give a few reminders of things that we've seen. Still, some coordinators don't use a CSR to enter their study initially. And this is very helpful for us if you use CSR, because all of the information is already in there and we don't need to guess from the protocol what we need to enter in OnCore. So if you know somebody that is still not using CSR, please let them know. Once your study is submitted in Click, you need to go and click on the next step, submit, so we can get that study in OnCore and we can start to prepare the calendar and everything on our end. Next slide, please. A few reminders that you need to update your accrual regularly. Also, let us know if you get an SAV for a study. So this is how we know that we need to open the study and we can bill for the startup fees. If you're not updating Click for your accrual or your closeout date, you need to let me know so I can know that I can update OnCore about that. Next slide. So if you have any questions, please let us know. We are always available if you have a question on how you would like to enter something, or you're not sure about what goes where, you can always give us a call. I also like when we get new coordinators to walk them through the first subject that we enter together so that they don't miss anything.
Thank you, Mariya and
Thank
Rosanne. Does anyone have any questions? I'm not seeing any in the chat right now.
Can you share these slides so that we have some reference? Because this is a lot of information to remember. Or does OnCore offer a manual?
Oh yes, we can send the manual as well.
But yes, I'll also send these slides in a PDF form once I send the email afterwards.
Also, a lot of the coordinators don't have access, at least in our office, don't have access to see the budget. So can you can you somehow make that available to everybody?
The budget usually is sent to the main person in your group, so it should be available that way. Or it's on the CTA, which is also should be in Click.
We have any other questions? Going once. Okay, So I'm going to take that as a no. Mariya and Rosanne, thank you both for your time. I will send out an email to all of you with the slides once I have it all together. But thank you everyone for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Marshall.